Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot. Now, I know I said I wouldn't be doing any more readings this month, but I have a few spare hours, so hopefully I'll be able to do all 12 for the Lunar Galactic download for this month. The moon will be passing across 16, 17 degrees Sagittarius on the 22nd, which also happens to be the fall equinox. So when I saw that, I thought, oh no, I can't miss that one. Now, the equinox, as you probably know, fall equinox, autumnal equinox, equal hours of light and dark, seeking a point of balance. Interesting, since it is also the point of going into Libra, the scales. Well, that's probably where the symbolism came from in the first place. Now, listening to the various astrologies, Chris Witecki on his Namaste Today, shared on my Facebook page, link down below, of course, talks about the sun ingress into Libra, about coming into a new relationship with ourselves, whereas Astrology with Heather also said seeking to come into balance. Not necessarily finding that balance. I mean, hey, have you seen the world? But seeking to come into that balance, making the effort to move towards it. Now, this is also the Feast of Mabon, which, although people talk about the Wheel of the Year being an old thing, which it is, Mabon's recognition only seems to derive from the 1970s onwards. But anyway, he was a child of the light and son of Mother Earth, I think, if I remember correctly. I did print some notes out, but they're over there. Now, this is a time for reaping, for the second harvest, the fruit harvest, and a time for review for everything that you started putting into action in the spring equinox and in the early side of the year. Well, it's also a good point about the fall equinox is Jupiter has just changed to go direct, so it's signifying a good change in in consciousness and confidence, maybe, but a good change in consciousness. All in all, pretty good omens, pretty good symbols. Now, considering that with the Mars-Saturn square, Mars-Pluto square, Mars-Jupiter square, Mercury, T-square, Mars and Saturn, that doesn't figure, does it? But it's Mercury's coming into T-square of something or other, and I'm sure Mars and Saturn are involved there, but maybe Saturn must be T-squaring. But anyway, moving on. Watch the Astrology with Heather video for more details on that. Again, link down below on my Facebook page, link down below. But I want to look at the symbol for 0 degrees Libra. Now, the Chandra symbol is, and not at all stereotypical, a group of fat Italian ladies preparing bread. Now, it says this is an archetypal, universal and diffuse allegiances, activities and realms of experience, becoming camouflaged perfectly by adopting a persona that is wondrously engaging and easy connected with. So that does indicate an energy to put people at ease and to start rebuilding relationships if they've been destroyed. However, the interpretation goes on, putting it on a bit heavy, thick grease paint. You exult in getting away with seeming to be the world's most anonymous person. The disguise can stick to the face. Overt consciousness awash in mass identification. At times you are able to penetrate through and find open possibilities, but you are primarily engrossed in the outer and alive to the advertised sensations of what it is like to be popular, well received and simply welcome wherever you go as part of the mix, and no problem at all. So, bit double-edged. Well, to me, I think that's a little bit double-edged about that whole subsuming yourself in mass identification. But if you're trying to smooth over any divisions, then that's quite useful. Now, the Omega symbol, which I really like a lot more, is an apothecary shop in which herbal concoctions and other medicines appear as needed. So this is talking about desire and need combined with pure intent, creating their own fulfillment spontaneously. And the oracle of this degree, which explores it more, where is it? So, and I love this little story, an alchemist invented an apothecary shop which mirrored completely the realm of disease. Anyone who entered it immediately reflected their essence onto the mind of the shop, which then generated the herbs and compounds as an echoing of felt needs. The shop held all of the answers and solutions that one could ever desire. Now, what was curious was how few people came to the shop. And of those few who came and took home the medicines, how many of the medicines were placed on a shelf somewhere and forgotten about? So the shop, always desirous of improving the potency and efficacy of its products, began focusing on other medications such as songs, weather and memory clusters, which is harvested out of people and distilled into custom-made homeopathic essences. Illusions, properly selected and harvested, were also found to be highly salutary. Well, salutary I would have thought meant to say hello, but I assume that means some form of healing. That sounds perfect and a little bit double-edged. Hopefully it is reflecting your actual need and not what you think your needs are, because let's face it, we're all on this, if you're on that self-exploratory trip, we're all well aware of the difference between the two. So, to the cards, this is going to be a general reading for your star sign. This is a bulk introduction, as ever. There will be a timestamp down below, so once you've seen the introduction once, you don't have to watch it again. And I advise that you look at your sun, your moon, and your rising signs. Particularly, I would say, on this one, your moon, since we are talking about seeking balance, and the first place to seek balance is within your feelings, because if you don't get the balance there, you're not going to get the balance anywhere else. So as a general reading rules apply. You know the script here, you know, roles can be reversed if someone else appears. It's an oracle card driven reading, so you can ask a question beforehand. I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to give you an answer in any form that can relate to the question, but we're looking at the energies coming in. This is the model, and some astrologer friends of mine have contested this, but basically this is tarot, not astrology. But looking at what energies coming from Galactic Center are filtered by the moon and how they can affect us this season, especially with it being fall equinox. Especially with Jupiter just going direct. There is quite a challenging month ahead for us astrologically, but it looks like the fall equinox energies can really give us a springboard to hurtle through it and take advantage of the challenges that come to us, rather than just going, no, 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 no more, no more. Although, if you find yourself huddling in a corner rocking and saying, no more 2020 please, I don't blame you. Won't get a lot done, but I don't blame you. But try not to do that, because hey ho, we have got to make it to the end of the year somehow, you know. Even if my favourite election bumper sticker so far is Giant Asteroid 2020. So, yeah, comment down below. Like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Join the Facebook page, because if you're a Facebook person, you know, social dilemma notwithstanding, because I don't just post my videos, I post videos from the astrologers, the various, you know, astrology weather reports, Achita Bava, Astrology with Heather, Ksenia Moore, astrology podcast. Now there's always a good investment. It's normally about 2.5 hours long. Rick Levine, Astrology Hub. Can't think of any more right now, but I know that there's oodles more that I watch, but I want to get on with the cards. So let's bring them up. And welcome Aquarius Rising and Aquarius Moon, if you've just joined us after the timestamp. Now this seems to be a reading very much about some form of personal resolution with with somebody, some form of discussion, some form of being heard and listening. Both sides are here. And I do feel that there is a point where from somebody else you have learnt everything that you can, and it's time for you to take those lessons and be your own person with them. Now, that's not necessarily the person that you have the resolution with, I might add. And let me just show you through the cards. We start with, what do you need to release? The waning moon from the Moonology deck. With share your voice, come out of the cave, persecution and expression. So definitely you have something to say here. You have something to let go of. But you also have something to let go of in two ways. It's not just that you need to... it's not just that you need to let something out. It's that maybe you need to release your attachment to what it is that you need to let out as well. Because right underneath here we have the differences card. And this is talking about people are different. Apples and oranges are different. People are different. And you're allowed to be you. And that's what you're obviously wanting to express about with Share Your Voice. But they are allowed to be them. And so I do feel like there's an element of the differences card is advising you to listen to the other person. This one is advising you to speak, which I think is really nice. There's that whole two-way discussion going. Now, the truth is that you might not come to any form of resolution other than, okay, I now understand where you're coming from and you now understand where I'm coming from. Neither of us, get my teeth in, neither of us could be budging an inch. But you will have greater understanding, and therefore you can take the other person's point of view, morals, political viewpoints into account when determining your new actions. Now, we have Leliel, the angel of night, but more to the point, Leliel is the angel of starlight. She is the angel that travels from the light of star to star, that heralds the night. For everything that you see, there are 1,000 things she leaves unseen. So there's a lot more going on in the background, but there is some form of spiritual guidance, celestial wisdom. Think about the star card in the tarot, coming to you. Again, this is emphasized by Freya, because Freya here represents like phases and cycles, such as the cycle of the moon, but also she has a raven of wisdom on her shoulder, but she takes raven form to travel from heaven to earth, and she appeared also for Capricorn, but in a different way. You are coming into your own, but you only get to coming into your own not just by speaking but by listening as well. We have from the Quantum Oracle a curious set of cards, teacher and loss. So what I'm getting from that is almost that a teacher is standing back, that you are losing the teacher. You know, there's however that means, but when you graduate you lose your teachers, you know, because they become your equals and not your teachers. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can still learn from each other, but they're not your teachers anymore. You are you and they are them. And there is that huge, with here and with here, that sense of you are you and they are them. And everybody's allowed to be that going on. But it's time with Freya, with her phases and cycles. We have from the Starseed Oracle, cracked open, with the phrase rock bottom or surrender to the alchemy of life. But that's almost like the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. It's like if you look at that, it's the, let's put it so it doesn't reflect. There you go. It's like the meat suit being torn asunder to reveal the star self within. There is a blossoming that can occur, but that blossoming occurs through adhering to the lessons that you have learned and listening and speaking and not prioritizing one or the other. It's very easy nowadays, look at social media, to go, I am saying this, and not listening to the other person. But there is, if you let some things go, or the attachment to things go, then, that's interesting. There's some form of wish fulfillment here. So, yeah, you may have a burning desire to say something. That's fine. Say it. And then shut up and listen while the other person says their thing that they've had a burning desire to say. But it's almost like what you have to say. It's not like I deserve this, or I want this, or this is the truth, or anything like that. With that Ace of Cups there, I'm feeling more of I have this dream, but I have this dream that I want to pass on. I want somebody else to share it. And it could even be a dream that you have had, and it's time, that makes sense. It's time for you to pass the torch, because that dream was useful for you, and it's not useful for you anymore, but if you give it to somebody else, it will be useful for them. That makes sense. Ace of Cups with Freya and the phases and cycles. Ace of Cups with the share your voice, but what do you need to release? You have a choice to be grateful for all the good things going on in your life or not. Right. Ooh, there's that Nine of Swords is quite popular this month for these Equinox readings, but it's interesting that it comes with triple spiral, listening to divine wisdom and joyfully learning life's lesson, which is what the Angel of Glory talks about as well. It's like the Angel of Glory is very much learning to say, thank you for the good things in my life. And by that act of gratitude, you may find that more good things appear. But here, perseverance, the motivation to keep going despite the odds, with all this fear here. Is it possible that there is a dream that you have been aligned to, but you've outgrown it, or it's outgrown you, and it is time to pass the torch? It's time to pass that along, because there's new journeys for you to go on. You can have the choice of moving forward and having some form of transformation, because I think that's the same angel as what we see in the Judgment card, or just doing the same old, but the same old, your life is a dynamic condition. You can't keep doing the same old and expect it to mean as much, give the same value. I feel like there is something that you have done well. You have done so well that you can stop it now and go and do something else and let somebody else do what you were doing. Now, whether this is a viewpoint, a philosophy, a job, a role in the community, a role in the family, I don't like the phrase, but take it as it resonates. But there's very much a drive for you to see both sides of a discussion here, because the High Priestess, clarifying the differences card where you are supposed to listen and accept, but there's also, I feel like you have to say your thing and dismiss it, and say their thing and dismiss it, so that you have the understanding of it. But having that understanding means, okay, neither of them matter so much anymore. Now, that flies in the face of what I was saying about listening, but I think what I mean is neither of them matter so much anymore is being detached from both viewpoints. It's quite possible that the other viewpoint is one that, riles you up a little. Will you release your attachment to that reaction? Release your attachment to that. Just go, okay, that's that, and this is where I've been. But there is that real sense of, I think you might be inspiring someone by passing a dream along to them. The dream that you have, it served its purpose for you, and in terms of the dream, you have served the purpose for it, but it needs somebody else now, and somebody else needs this dream now. Especially with, we have the loss of the teacher here, but right next to it, Nithhaia, with spiritual wisdom. So there's almost like you are giving some spiritual wisdom, you are detaching from some spiritual wisdom, you are losing a teacher, being a teacher, and maybe losing that role as well. Because as much as it all matters, and it all matters, everything matters, it also doesn't matter so much now. It matters when it matters, as a time-space event. You know, it matters that you are a waitress when you are on shift. It doesn't matter that you're a waitress when you're not on shift. It matters that you're a support worker when you're with a client, but when you're at home, that doesn't matter because you're not with a client. So it doesn't matter, you know, horses for courses, or whatever, however you want to say it. Now, that for some reason, letting go of this looks like it's going to be a stressful idea for you, but I think it's a good thing. This triple spiral, joyfully learning life's lessons, you know, everything in its season, especially with that joyfully learning life lessons straight under the angel of glory. They link together. Yeah, the role of being a teacher, being a student, is something where you are requiring balance, but also you need a rest to complete your transformation, or if you have the transformation, you then need a rest from whatever this dream was for you to work out how you're proceeding forward next. So Four of Swords here. And interestingly, you know, today, as I'm recording this, today of the solstice, hopefully you're watching the solstice, equinox, as you're watching this, is 0 degrees Libra. And the Four of Swords here represents the last decan of Libra, so the 20 to 29 degrees of Libra. So, no pressure, you've got 20 days. 19 days. And counting. So, no pressure. But that opens up new layers of understanding, and it promises a new adventure. And that's what I always feel that the Eight of Cups promises. You know, the Eight of Cups talks about walking away from something, but what are you then walking towards? You're walking towards something new. You're walking towards adventure. You're walking towards a life without whatever it is that you've just walked away from. But there's more promise than just an absence. So yeah, you're not going to necessarily see what is happening, but all the things that are hidden from your view seem to be working in your favour. Justice, again, Libra card. So very much no pressure. It's all this month. You've got 20 days. Unless we take it, I suppose, to the full moon in Libra. But that just seems a bit silly to me. I mean, the astrology is there. It's all about transformations and challenges between now and the end of the year. So take advantage. Thank you for all the good things in my life. So if this means anything to you, Aquarius, comment down below, like, share, subscribe, obviously. And I will see you on the monthlies, all right? Cheers.